When I was a corporate accountant many moons ago, new accountants were trained by several of the existing staff. Very little was in writing. Everyone in the department submitted information monthly to whichever accountant had responsibility for certain bookings. For about 6 months, I had responsibility for some journal voucher. The first month, a couple accountants submitted their information in a manner that just wasn't usable, so I took time to change it myself. The second month, I realized that I didn't want to continue fixing their submissions for the rest of the next 5 months, so I chose to meet with each of them to show them what was really needed. I recall one person saying to me, "No one has ever told me that before. I've been doing it that way for a year." He was grateful that I took the time to show him how to create his spreadsheet with the required data in a format we could use. In this presentation, I'm reviewing Ed Deming's management points number 6 and number 13. Let's start with point number 6, institute training. Too many workers learn their job from another worker who was not properly trained. Other times, training includes a set of confusing instructions. And point number 13, institute a vigorous program of education and retraining. All employees, including management, need to be re-educated in new methods. So having a standard or pattern for training is what Deming is talking about. Now, I've heard a lot of sports analogies used over the years, and rather than do the same, I'm going to give you a sewing analogy. Please bear with me. As a tween, when I was in my first few years of sewing my own clothes and projects, I learned the hard way about using a standard pattern. Now, there was something I needed in a quantity of about 12. It was something simple, like a length of ribbon or fabric. I used the pattern to cut the first item. Then I used the first that I cut out to guide me in cutting the second. I used the second I cut out as a guide to cut the third. You see where this is going. By the time I was done, they were not all the same length. The first 2 or 3 were the same size as the pattern, but I neglected to use the pattern each time to cut out all 12. That's what Deming means about changing the fact that usually different workers train new workers. A standard pattern was not used. It's like the game telephone we played when we were children. One person tells another person a phrase, the second tells the third, and so on until the message gets to the last person. The last person says out loud what he or she heard, and it rarely matches the original phrase. Deming is not saying that a worker shouldn't train another worker. He's saying if you are going to train new people, have some standard patterns for training them, such as 1 or 2 designated staff members who perform all of your training. Training others does not come naturally to everyone. There are many ways to get into a learner's head, and a good trainer knows how to get there. Someone who can teach others knows how to start with what the learner already knows and to go from there. When choosing people who will train your new workers, choose people who have the ability to explain processes to others in a way that the listener can understand. Deming's point number 13 is about keeping all employees educated and retrained. This is something that gets cut from budgets too often. Ed Deming believed cutting out education and training hurt productivity and profits in the long run. Are there new ways of doing things in your industry? Are your employees using a tool without utilizing its advanced features? Are there management methods your executives could learn that would help them be more effective? Consider instituting organizational change management and training development strategies at your company that include the elements discussed here. Think about what's possible. What are some ways you might implement such a program?